Bank manager destroyed a single dad's $5 million check, then her boss walked in and said his name. The bank manager ripped a $5 million check into pieces right in front of a struggling single dad, convinced it had to be fake. The entire bank watched in stunned silence as tiny pieces of paper drifted onto the polished floor. But just seconds later, the regional president walked through the front doors, froze the moment he saw the broken man stand. Before we continue, if you believe kindness is stronger than appearances and everyone deserves a second chance, please like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe to Kindness Echoes. Your support helps us bring more inspiring stories that remind the world compassion still exists. Ethan Carter had never imagined that life could change so completely in just 3 years. Once, he had owned a small construction company that kept dozens of workers employed. Then a devastating accident at one of his projects, followed by lawsuits and overwhelming debt. Their apartment was tiny, their furniture mismatched, and every dollar mattered. Yet despite everything, Ethan refused to let Lily see hopelessness in his eyes. Unknown to almost everyone, years earlier Ethan had quietly invested a small amount in a struggling technology startup because he believed in a young engineer who had once worked beside him. Everyone called him foolish back then. After years of silence, that forgotten investment unexpectedly became valuable when the company was purchased by a global corporation. Weeks later, legal paperwork finally arrived confirming Ethan's ownership share had been redeemed. Along with the documents came a certified check worth $5 million. Ethan stared at it for several minutes before tears rolled down his face. It wasn't simply money. It was security, freedom, and a future where Lily would never have to wonder whether dinner would be enough. Wanting everything handled safely, Ethan dressed in his cleanest jacket and visited the largest bank branch in town. His worn boots and faded clothes attracted curious glances from customers waiting in line. He ignored the whispers and patiently waited for his turn. When he finally reached the counter, the teller looked surprised before calling the branch manager for approval because of the unusually large amount. The manager approached with an expression that immediately revealed what she thought of him. She barely looked at the paperwork before deciding someone dressed like Ethan couldn't possibly possess a legitimate $5 million check. Instead of carefully verifying the documents through normal banking procedures, she questioned his identity repeatedly, implying he had stolen or forged the payment. Every explanation Ethan offered was dismissed before he could finish. His hands trembled not from anger but from humiliation as strangers watched every moment. Then the unthinkable happened. Convinced she was protecting the bank from fraud, the manager grabbed the check and tore it straight down the middle before ripping it again and again until dozens of pieces scattered across the counter. Gasps echoed across the lobby. Ethan stood completely frozen. It felt as though every sacrifice, every sleepless night, and every hope for his daughter's future had been destroyed in front of him. He wasn't thinking about the money anymore. He was thinking about Lily waiting at school, believing her father could solve every problem. Instead of shouting, Ethan quietly gathered the torn pieces with shaking hands. His silence made the room even more uncomfortable than anger ever could. Several customers lowered their eyes, embarrassed by what they had witnessed. Even one young teller seemed close to tears. At that exact moment, the bank's regional president entered the building for a scheduled inspection. The cheerful atmosphere vanished as employees rushed to greet him. But before anyone could explain anything, he noticed Ethan kneeling on the floor collecting scraps of paper. The executive looked closely at the man's face, then immediately recognized him. Years ago, before becoming a banking executive, the president had been a frightened young entrepreneur desperate for financing after every bank rejected his business plan. Ethan, although struggling with his own company at the time, had personally guaranteed a small loan and introduced him to valuable contacts without asking for anything. He listened carefully as employees explained what had happened. His expression changed from confusion to disbelief. Bank policy clearly required verification, not destruction of customer property. The manager had acted entirely on personal assumptions instead of professional procedures. The executive immediately apologized publicly to Ethan, assuring him the bank's legal department would obtain an emergency replacement directly from the issuing institution that same day. Every fee would be waived, and the bank would personally compensate Ethan for the humiliation and inconvenience caused by their actions. More importantly, he turned toward every employee gathered nearby and reminded them that integrity begins with respecting people before judging them. Wealth does not always wear expensive suits, and hardship never makes someone less worthy of dignity. The room remained silent because everyone knew those words were true. Later that evening, Ethan returned home carrying official confirmation that his replacement funds had been secured. Lily ran into his arms, unaware of everything that had happened. She only noticed that her father smiled with genuine peace for the first time in years. Within months, Ethan purchased a modest home, created a scholarship fund in his late wife's memory, and quietly donated to organizations supporting single parents facing financial hardship. He never sought revenge against the manager. Instead, he hoped the experience would teach her compassion that no training manual ever could. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, share it with your friends and family, leave a heartfelt comment, and subscribe to Kindness Echoes. Your support helps these meaningful stories reach people who may need hope today. Special request, before this story ends, please comment with "Kindness always wins" if you believe no one should ever be judged by their appearance. Sometimes the greatest fortune isn't found in a $5 million check. It's found in the kindness we show strangers when they have nothing left but their dignity. And in the end, that kindness always becomes the richest legacy of all.